get this show on the road. We are totally live, and I'm singing to everybody. And that's how we started the show, ladies and gentlemen, with a song. It's fitting.
Let's start with a test here. Somebody in the chat say something if you can hear us.
Can you hear our voices being projected?
Good. They can hear. Okay.
Alright. So, what's going on, people? Welcome to the first episode of Golden Oaks Book Club. I know my voice is amazing. The first podcast that I know of that talks about fanfiction and narrative content within the community, because it's about time. My name is Bernie Curious. I am the author and illustrator of Scissor Hoop Slighted and Recovery.
And I'm Pegasus Rescue Brigade. I wrote a couple different fanfics for the fandom. I think the most notable is probably Shipping and Handling. And I'm a pre-reader for Equestria Daily.
Yeah! And we figured that we would just kind of... Well, actually, it's kind of weird because we're going to do this first show and we figured it'd be really low-key. Like, oh, no one's going to watch it. We'll just kind of figure out what works, what doesn't work. And then we ended up with like almost 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel before we even did a show. So we're just like, oh, I guess we have to try now. We have to like try and do something. So this is how it's going to go down. Pretty much, we got a bunch of different kind of sections we're going to run through, talk about a couple different things here and there. This show is probably going to be pretty short compared to our other ones because some of the sections we want to do, like interviews and roundtable discussion things, are kind of still in the planning phases because we need to talk to some people. We need to like sit down and actually use our brains a little bit to get like some of the more in-depth sections going. So this one's going to be pretty self-explanatory, just kind of give an introduction to ourselves and what the show is going to be about, and then we picked out some of our favorite pieces of content from the community that we'll kind of go over a little bit, and then we'll probably just spend the rest of the time talking about Season 3 so far, since it's on hiatus right now, and kind of just giving our 2 cents about that.
So we each brought one piece of fan content? Is that what you brought?
Yes, I have.
For us to look at?
I have one in particular that I decided to choose. Would you like to start, or should I start?
You can go ahead and start.
Okay, so basically what this section is going to entail is that every time we do the show, I don't know if we're doing weekly or not yet. We're very prepared, by the way. I don't know if you can tell. No, but the every show we're going to grab like 1 or 2 pieces of content that we found that we like in the community and think is either it's new and we haven't, it's still trying to get exposure and kind of help out a little bit, or it's something that's kind of maybe not as well known, kind of like a hidden gem, and we think deserves some more exposure. Since this is the first show, what we decided to do is instead pick something that's like our personal favorite to kind of give you guys a better idea of what our personal tastes are and kind of like how we'll probably be playing off each other in future episodes. So the...
Do you want to explain to them now about how to submit content for us to possibly look at in future spotlights, or do you want to save that for later in the show?
I might as well do it now. So in addition to the YouTube channel, the live stream, which you are currently in right now, we also have a Tumblr page, and that's going to be probably the primary space for interacting with us. If you want to ask questions, if you have feedback, or if you want to submit content for us to take a look at, since we're just 2 dudes, and as much just stuff as we read, we can't hit up everything. So...
Not even close.
No, unfortunately. I've tried, it just doesn't work. So if you guys want to submit us stuff, our Tumblr page looks like this. It's pretty basic right now, but hey, gets the job done. So it's goldenoaksbookclub.tumblr.com. I will drop the link in the chat. If I can open up the chat.
Here, I've got the link. I can put it in there.
Oh man, look at that. Teamwork.
There's the link.
So the ask box is all set to go. So if you guys story suggestions or anything, just drop it in there. Also, we will be ending the show tonight with a Q&A session. So if you want to drop questions in there, or if you want to just ask in the chat when we get to that point, whatever is easy for you guys.
Save those for the end, but we'll get around to that.
If you guys want to kind of pipe in with your 2 cents on anything we talk about, or if you want to ask us embarrassing questions, I guess you can do that.
Doesn't necessarily have to be about the show. You can ask whatever.
No.
Oh, that reminds me, Brony Curious. Weren't we going to talk about both of our choice of best pony, since that's like a staple of
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
much
we
any
should do that. That's
podcast?
pretty standard fare. So, PRB, who's your favorite pony?
My favorite pony, as should be fairly apparent from anyone who has read Shipping and Handling, is definitely Derpy Hooves or Ditzy Doo, depending on how you want to. I call her Ditzy in that particular story, but that's because she was. That story's old enough that she did not yet have her canon name at that point in time.
Dude, no one in the chat believes you, man. They'll think you're lying. I don't know why.
Because I know these people. Anyway, now I completely what was I telling you about a couple days ago about why Derpy was best pony?
You need me to remind you why Derpy's best pony, in your opinion?
I remember I told you I didn't have any specific reason, and then you like got me off on this tangent, and I ended up describing myself. But since it's not something I had prepared to tell you in the first place, I don't remember it again.
Oh, come on, sir. You have to dig deep within your soul and let your passion out to the world. Silence. That's his passion, guys. Silence. This hand of mine glows with an awesome power. G Gundam. Anybody? No. Okay. So, is that it? You're just gonna say Derpy because Derpy?
Well, you can go while I dig through our chat log and try to
Oh,
find.
he's actually gonna look it up. All right. That's see, he's smart. I just rolled with it like, oh, I forgot. I'm dumb. All right. So, if anyone goes on my Tumblr, you know that my favorite pony is Rarity because she is so fabulous. I've actually.
Oh, that might get you some love from a couple of people watching here.
Yeah. Rohoof. Ha 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 ha. Pipja, you're funny. You're funny. Twilight's second. Anyways, I love Rarity because I can relate to her because she's an artist. I'm artistic. I like her flaws. I think she's a very, very dynamic character, especially in the context of a children's show like she's in. She has a lot of, I guess, inner conflicts because being the element of generosity, but being so into fashion, which is very much like a self-centered kind of passion, simply because it is so much about the self, but yet also wanting to share that with other people. I think is a really interesting kind of like dichotomy going on within her own psyche. So I just appreciate her whenever she's on screen, and yeah, she's awesome.
Okay, now back to me. I was digging through the chat, and it occurred to me that I told you all this in a live call at some point, so there is no record of it here. So I went thinking about what kind of clue I might be able to get from my various stories, all of which feature her, about what exactly it is that I like about her, and ended up leading myself to the same answer that caused me to describe it to you in the first place a couple days ago. Derpy is, because of her role in the show, she's versatile. I have depicted her in several different ways, and I like all of them. In Shipping and Handling, she is she's very caring and intelligent and has a heart of gold. While in my other stories, like Fluttershy's Bad Hair Day, she is, much closer to the typical Derpy as she's seen in the show, and particularly in the last roundup, kind of a goofy disaster area. And in my most recent story, Bing Bang Zam, which is on EQD's front page right now, in case anyone cares.
Pop that column a little bit, miss.
In Bing Bang Zam, Derpy is different from either of those two. She's more of a... she's very strong-willed and excitable, but she's also, kind of naive and scatterbrained. And it makes for an entertaining and still lovable character in that way. And I think I like Derpy because she... there's so many different ways you can go with her, and she's just an adorable and interesting background character. I think if she was a more major character in the show, I might not actually be quite as thrilled with her. That doesn't mean that I'm happy with her recent disappearance in the episodes, but as she is, I can there's so many different things to love about her that I can get away with when I characterize her in my stories because she doesn't really have too much in the show that I can that will disprove it. Like if with just to use your example, Rarity has a very set character, and while that's not necessarily a bad character, it's just easy to depict her. Well, if you depict her in a different way than how she appears there in the show, then people are definitely going to call you out on it. But I can touch on all my favorite types of personalities and give them all to Derpy in different stories, and people like her no matter how I go about characterizing her.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think I can because I can relate with her on all these multiple different levels because none of them are necessarily true or false. That combined with just the fact that she's cute and she's a Pegasus and I like Pegasi seems to make it much more appreciable. That got long-winded.
No, I agree with you though. She is like very flexible and able to like kind of fit into any role. And I think regardless of who your favorite character is, I think we all have a soft spot for Derpy just because she kind of is like ours.
Hmm.
That was definitely like the fandom's kind of like contribution to the show as a whole. So I think there's a kind of a connection there for everyone. So yeah. So I mean, Derpy's cool. She's not Rarity, but she's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try now. Okay. Derpy
Okay,
Dash.
so was there anything else we were going to talk about in regards to future sections? I think we were going to try to describe the show overall, even though we're not necessarily doing all the different sections of it today because we don't yet have questions for Q&A and we don't have a guest available.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So I mean, pretty much we'll just start out the same way we did, just kind of the introduction, going over what we'll be talking about this episode. Since usually we'll have a plan, sometimes maybe. And then we're always
hopefully we won't go into best pony rambles every time.
no.
That was
Well,
just the first time thing.
I don't know. So the first thing we're usually going to be doing, and this is something we actually can do today, is the content spotlight. We kind of started on that, but then we forgot we were supposed to brag about best ponies. So this is like when we said before, just kind of pick something that we like from the fandom and kind of sing its praises for a little bit. So I guess we should just start with that instead of delaying it any longer.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So the thing I decided to spotlight today is actually not a fic, but an Ask blog with a lot of narrative shorts in it. And let me pull it up for you guys. It's by this girl. Her username is Carpet Shark, and I've been following her ever since I got into the fandom, which is about a year ago. And for some reason, like this blog is like brilliant, and I love it, but it hasn't picked up nearly enough traction I think it deserves. And so hopefully, I can try and change that. It is Ask Twilight and Trixie, and it's just a really simple, lighthearted Ask blog. And it's basically the premise is that Trixie comes back and is Twilight's magic apprentice, and they live together. And so usually it's very simple with like asking questions and answering them from viewers and whatnot. But a lot of the time she'll do multi-part arcs and stuff. Like she did this really long one for Christmas, and it was multiple parts. So you just like scroll through this vlog, you can see how like even in the narrative ones she'll interact with the audience. So like there's this part where Trixie wants to go back and get this book for Twilight, but she's like scared, and the people come and talk to her and say, no, you can do it, and stuff like that. So it's just the stories aren't really complicated, the art is really simplistic, but both the stories and the art just has a really nice simplistic charm to it. And it's definitely one of the Ask blogs I enjoy the most on Tumblr, just because it really stays in the vein of the show in terms of tone. There's nothing like overly grimdark, overly everything that pretty much happens in this blog wouldn't be out of place in the show. So if you got a chance to kind of dig through the archives and just want some good laughs and appreciate some nice artwork and some solid writing here and there, I definitely think it's worth checking out. So it's Ask Twilight and Trixie on Tumblr. Just Ask Twilight and Trixie with dashes in between each word. I'll have the link in the show notes, so if you guys want to check it out later, you can definitely do that. I definitely think it's worth checking out.
All right, should we move on to mine?
No, you're not allowed. Sorry, bro. Yeah, go for it.
Alrighty. Well, while Brony Curious here usually has all sorts of Tumblrs and stuff available because he is a narrative artist himself, I'm a little more firmly rooted in the fanfiction department of the fandom. So I was just thinking back to one of my favorite fanfics from quite a while ago, and that would actually be a fic from. It's not available on FimFiction, but we can provide a link later to it on Equestria Daily, where it's separated into a bunch of Google Docs, and it was called "The Worst Bakers in Equestria" by the author Bob from Bottles. And this is really hilarious, honestly. I read the whole thing way back when it came out, and it's divided up into a few different sections. He has them on the EQD post here as individual short stories, but they're kind of just chronological chapters, sort of. The first 4 follow the exploits of 4 different characters, and then starting with chapter 5, they all come together for the competition, the Worst Baker competition. And each one has a different way that they use their abilities here. Like in the story, there is this bad baking magic that some ponies innately possess. This magic that causes hilarious, catastrophic things to happen when they try to do anything in the kitchen. Like, they'll put it in the oven and the entire oven will just explode, or whatever else. So Rainbow Dash is on the poster here because she was the winner of the previous year's competition for being the worst baker, and she's really proud of her ability to use this bad baking magic to cause stuff to explode. But in this particular story, she finds herself facing off with Luna, who is more intrigued with it than anything else, and Trixie, who normally doesn't have bad baking magic, but has been affected with poison joke, so she's having bad luck of all sorts, and is using it to her advantage. And Derpy, who is afflicted with it and struggles every morning to prepare a decent breakfast for Dinky without her kitchen exploding, which is probably part of why I like this story so much, because, Derpy and Dinky just makes me...
He's not biased. Not at all. Not at all.
But no, honestly, the whole thing is funny, that they all wind up in a competition, and each one uses their various abilities and the effects of this magic that affects them all differently to their advantage. Uh-oh, who's saying... Oh, okay, the sound... Somebody said the sound cut out, but it's back. And, yeah, then there get to be some side plots. Pinky and Spike are up to something for this entire thing because they signed up to be the announcers, but their position got taken at the last second by somebody else. So they go on this ridiculous background side quest to try to win back their positions as announcers. And there's some kind of criminal who gets involved in all this and is using some kind of magic. It's trying to steal some kind of magic stone that controls the bad baking magic and can amplify it to the point that it becomes dangerous and everything, and it gets really crazy. It's almost complete laughter from beginning to end. The Derby part is really sweet and heartwarming, and I loved everything about this back when I read it, and I really have to recommend it to anybody else who likes their comedy fiction. As anyone who might have seen any of my stories knows, comedy is kind of my writing forte, and I'd like to read it almost as much as I like to write it.
Awesome.
So I think that's about it for this.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out, because I hadn't heard of it before you mentioned it, and I'm just like, oh, it sounds like a wicked cool concept. So, Yeah, Worst Bakers in Equestria. It is gathered on EQD, and we will also be providing a link to that in the show notes. Did you miss our beautiful faces? Yes. Alright, so that's all for the content we have today. Usually, probably at this point, we'd move into the interview, but we have no one to interview.
Yeah,
Unless we interview each other, that'd be very boring, so I don't think we're going to do that.
I think we kind of did that at the beginning, sort
Right?
of.
So,
Yeah.
and everyone loved that so much.
If anybody has questions for us specifically, they can ask in the Q&A at the end.
Yeah.
But
We're oh so interesting people.
yeah, we've already talked to a few authors and other people to get some potential guests for
Yes.
later
Things are
episodes.
progressing smoothly. It's just like
So
I said,
yeah, we'll have some people on here later, perhaps even some pretty big name authors if we can get some of our requests answered for them on here later. But as for today, just going to be the two of us.
yeah, we figured it would probably be better for us to iron out all the kinks without someone else that we drag into this.
Mhm.
So that way, when we get around to the interviews, we're competent and
Yeah.
not
Get all the
messing up
basic
anything.
sections. Get all the basic sections launched here. But then, yeah, we'll add new stuff as the episodes go on. So what are we going to next?
So
Episodes?
next on the agenda would be the episode review. So what we've planned on doing with this section is when there's a new episode airing that week, or when the new episode aired the previous week, we will give our thoughts about it here. Since the show is currently on hiatus, we figured this would be a nice time to kind of comment on season 3 so far as a whole, because this has been an interesting run because a lot of people were kind of hesitant about this season going in because this is the first one where Lauren Faust was not directly involved in any way. She's completely out of the picture for this season, and a lot of people were worried that the show might kind of fall apart without her. A lot of people have been really quick, at least people that I've interacted with, to be really hard on the show's newest episodes coming out because she's not there, and like kind of singing gloom and doom. Whereas other people haven't really felt there's been a change at all, and that the staff still working on the show know exactly what they're doing. So it's kind of been a little bit of a dividing kind of season. I feel a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people think everything's fine. So I figured this could
So
be.
what's your opinion on that?
Well, so far it hasn't been like outstanding, like super amazing as a whole. But it hasn't been bad either. I think as far as I'm concerned, it's business as usual. Um, I think
Yeah.
everyone kind of is in agreement that the opening for the season was okay, not great, not amazing. There were definitely some things narratively that I would have done differently, but
Yeah. But at some point we need to hit a ceiling of our expectations because we all need to remember what we're watching here. It's My Little Pony. It's not some kind of drama that's on some primetime channel that we're expecting to be the most amazing thing we've ever seen,
yeah. I mean, I think
it's really great for what it is.
I
And
think a lot of the reason that the premiere took so much flack probably wasn't even just because it was. I mean, it was really hard to follow up Discord as a season premiere because Discord was such a great villain, and I think a lot of us were expecting that kind of aspect again to go in and have like a really strong antagonist be the focal point of the two parts when it was much more of a character study of Twilight, and I think in that aspect, setting up her character for growth going forward, I think it did a really good job in doing so. It definitely laid out a lot of possibilities with asking the right questions, but not providing answers. And initially, I was very upset by that because I figured, oh, they're not going to address this again. But it sounds like they might, especially like Twilight's next level of training. What was that book that Luna had? Like all the things that we've probably all heard about at this point. But I just think that it was as a standalone arc from beginning to end, there were a lot of flaws with it. But I think in terms of like starting out the season, it definitely planted a lot of seeds for things that hopefully when the show starts up again, they'll start answering or start addressing. So I think the premiere did a really good job in kind of getting our interest.
Yeah, we
And
still
also, there was
have.
such a long gap between season 2 and 3 that I think a lot of people were just like starved for new Pony, and then when it didn't live up to expectations, they probably got more upset than they would have been otherwise.
Yeah.
So it was going to disappoint people regardless, just because it was such a long break in between the two.
Hmm.
But yeah, what did you think of the premiere, man?
The premiere, yeah, I didn't think it was too bad either. I don't feel like it lived up to either the premiere or the finale in season two,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it necessarily expected to. I see somebody in the chat here asking what did I think of Sombra. Um, yeah, I mean, like Brony Curious said, Sombra was not as strong of a villain as Discord or Chrysalis. You know, it was mostly just meant to be there as a looming antagonistic presence. Um, Now, did that negatively impact it? I don't know. Uh, I feel like they're although we were trying to, point out that this wasn't as bad as some people interpreted it. There were some negatives
Mm-hmm.
to the episode. I think the some parts of it really seemed to drag on longer than they needed to. Uh,
Yeah, I
when
felt like the
when
pacing
going on certain topics. Yeah,
yeah, the pacing in the beginning and the end was pretty good. The middle, not
yeah.
a lot was going on.
Hmm. Sombra and his stairs. That wasted some time.
Mm.
As
Yeah,
funny as it was in retrospect. Um,
yeah. I mean, on the topic of Sombra, I think probably that if Sombra's character model had been leaked during the summer, and
hmm
we had all that time to think about what he was,
hmm
it probably would have been something that would have upset so many people, because it's again one of those things that if you
Yeah,
have too much time to think about and like overthink
you're
it,
gonna start thinking it would be something awesome.
yeah,
So it's funny how back in the beginning of season two, there was a fake thing leaked saying that Discord was essentially going to be a red and black alicorn, and everybody was really excited, and then he wasn't. And then this time, the villain actually did turn out to be a red and black unicorn, at least, and everybody was less excited about that because the opinion of that idea has been dropping as fan fiction about them has increased. But that's getting a little off topic.
mm. No, it's a good point though. Um, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on the premiere because we have so many more episodes to kind of go over.
Hmm.
I think Too Many Pinkie Pies was probably closer to what a lot of people were expecting. I think that was a pretty strong episode. Um, it was just silliness. Like it wasn't even like there are things in MLP that I really like, and that
Hmm.
episode almost didn't have those things. It was just like craziness. And I think after like the premiere, that was definitely like the kind of like morale boost that a lot of people needed, just because it was so ridiculously out there.
Well, yeah, that's true. But then again, I don't know. Craziness has been done in different ways on the show, and sometimes I find it a lot more entertaining than other times. To compare another very crazy episode, let's think back to season two and Lesson Zero.
Mm.
Lesson Zero was zany as all heck, and I completely loved it. And I don't know. Too Many Pinkie Pies didn't do it for me quite as much there, but that was just my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, some people really liked it. Some people really didn't like it. Some people are biased because of the episode's writer. Too Many Pinkie Pies was written by Dave Polsky, and there's quite a few in the fandom who are automatically assuming that anything by Polsky must be bad. His, I don't know if you'd say his track record is great, but in terms of the episodes he's written, I wouldn't call him one of the best on the show, but I certainly don't think his episodes are horrible.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to pay attention to the writers, usually just because I'm not observant like that. But
Mhm.
again, like I've heard a lot of people who do have those like
Yeah.
presumptions of what the episode is going to be just in the first few seconds, and
Hmm.
I kind of try and stay away that because I like to judge things based on what they are.
Yeah.
Um, but
And
yeah,
I
I
admit,
think
as someone on the inside of the Equestria Daily staff, even though they don't show it in their episode follow-ups, they can tend to do that too sometimes. So, No, nobody's really safe from it. We need to try to be unbiased and give each writer a chance. But sometimes if there's enough episodes that got generally low enough reviews, um, whatever. I don't think Polsky's too bad. I actually really liked one of his episodes in season one, feeling Pinky Keen.
Mm.
But some people strongly disagree with me
You
on
you
that.
just like that because Derpy was in it.
That was part of it, but I also like the humor and in general there.
Yeah, it was a good episode. There was some zany stuff in there too. I think for Too Many Pinkies, it was definitely your like or dislike of it probably came down to how much you like or dislike Pinkie Pie.
hmm that probably is a large part of it.
Yeah. Alright,
Should we move on?
let's move on.
Fourth was One Bad Apple.
It was One Bad Apple.
What'd you think of that? I thought the song was incredibly catchy.
I loved the song. The song was indeed catchy.
Everyone loved the song.
It was too
hundreds
catchy
of remixes
because
of
then
that
all
song.
the remixes almost ruined it because it was just everywhere and you couldn't escape it for like 3 weeks, like straight. It
Yeah.
was just more and more and more and more. So, I I, I liked One Bad Apple. I think I forget who I talked. I think I talked about this with Paleo and Saber Spark a little while ago. But I was somehow we got on the topic of One Bad Apple and I was saying how I liked it, but I thought the moral kind of felt forced at the end. I think it was a good moral, but at the same time, part of me thinks that maybe we shouldn't be telling impressionable children that the only solution to bullying is to go to an adult and like essentially like you need authority to help solve all your problems. Because I was saying that how the first Cutie Mark Satyr episode, Call of the Cutie, right? That was the first one.
hmm
Yeah, they
Yeah.
that almost had a
First one
better
featured
anti-bullying
Sweet Rose.
message than One Bad Apple because in that one, Apple Bloom didn't have to go to an adult. She kind of found the strength within herself with the help of her new friends to get
hmm
over the bullying that Diamond Tiara and Silver Spring were doing the whole time. So
Yeah.
I kind of felt that they had already talked about anti-bullying indirectly and done it better than they did in One Bad Apple. That being said,
hmm
though, I did like the character of Babseeds. I thought she was cool. Um,
Yeah, she was all right.
I think it was weird how she did such a quick 180, from being like even meaner than Diamond Tiara to the
hmm
CMC without showing any signs of like remorse or just doing it because she just didn't want to be on the receiving end. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, for what she was, I thought she was a good addition. It was nice to see um, another member of the Apple family. So
hmm
I mean, again, it wasn't like my favorite, but I didn't have any big problems with it.
Yeah, it was of the first. No, I don't want to say that. I I liked the episode. Yeah, I liked it better than Too Many Pinkie Pies. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I didn't think Too Many Pinkie Pies was bad, but One Bad Apple was a little bit better for me.
Cool.
What's next?
I don't know. How bad is that? I forget. I forget. Magic Duel was the next one, wasn't it?
Magic Duel.
Was
Magic
it Mad
Duel.
Duel?
Yeah, Magic
Alright.
Duel was fifth.
Yeah, you're right.
I liked Magic Duel a lot.
I
I don't
liked
know about you.
I liked Magic Duel too, even though it killed my headcanon. Well, it kind of killed my headcanon. It made me. I took like 5 days to like rethink how I was gonna do my story because of Magic Duel. So when I first saw it, it was like so good until the last 5 minutes when they redeemed Trixie, and then I just got so sad. And like that was the first episode of the season that I did a review on my YouTube channel, and it was funny because I wrote that review the night I watched it, and I was pretty livid. Like I was overplaying it like a lot just for the sake of the video, but I was like pretty raging. It was kind of funny. Um, but no, reflecting on it now, I think it was pretty solid. Um, Seeing Trixie again was awesome. I'm a little biased because I love Trixie so much.
hmm
There were some things that I wasn't a huge fan in the episode. I don't want to retread familiar ground because again I did do a video on it. But my big thing was that everyone wanted to see Trixie again because they wanted to see more of her character. And when they bring her back, she's basically getting possessed by this amulet that's basically tainting her personality, making her act like a completely different character. So then one must wonder, well, what was the point of bringing her back at all if we're not going to actually see her, but her being influenced by this evil relic? So it was kind of, she became more of a strict antagonist than the
Yeah,
kind
but
of braggart she was before.
in defense of her character, though, she did kind of go searching for it in the first place. You know, like she had already gotten the bent on revenge thing in her head before she got a hold of the amulet.
Yeah.
Clearly, so although that probably amplified it because it corrupts the user, it you know, she really was not happy with Twilight Sparkle after the events of Ghostbusters. So I think somewhat her actions were made sense in the episode.
Yeah, I definitely think that her getting the amulet and trying to get revenge was in character and probably exactly what everybody assumed she would do if the fan fictions are any indication.
Mhm.
I just wonder that I don't think that without the amulet she would have enslaved Ponyville and tried to take over the world. What she was saying at the end, like, I'm gonna
Mhm.
rule over Equestria with this. You know? Just like,
Mhm.
whoa.
Yeah. I said we would save questions for the end, but I see somebody in the chat that I just want to correct here. That
Uh-oh.
why didn't Celestia know about this, even though she has a huge telescope that can see for miles away? You forget, Celestia was in Saddle Arabia during that episode. She wasn't available to find out what was going on with Trixie and Ponyville. She was probably off the continent somewhere else altogether. As for Luna, I don't know where Luna was, sleeping or
Princess
something.
Luna's only allowed
Recall
one
this.
episode appearance a season
Yeah,
outside of the
Luna's already
premiere,
been too.
and so she came and showed up later.
Yeah.
She used her one appearance card for the whole season. I hope that's not true.
No, we'll probably see Luna in the finale.
We better.
And considering it's only 13 episodes, getting her in the premiere, the finale, and one in the middle is not bad.
That's almost like a fourth of the season.
Speaking of one in the middle, let's move on to Sleepless in Ponyville.
Best episode so far.
I was really happy to finally see Scootaloo get an episode.
Dude,
Because, you know, Sweetie Belle's had hers, Apple Bloom's had a dozen, there's something, not that many, but way more than she needs.
yeah,
And Scootaloo's had nothing.
nothing but jokes at her expense from us. That's the most attention she's gotten. Yeah, so I mean, I was again super biased because, I mean, so there's Magic Duel, and I was like, I'm writing my Trixie comic, and then the next episode is Sleepless in Ponyville, and I'd finished my Scootaloo book, and I'm just like, are you serious? But yeah, that was probably my favorite episode because I was biased because I love Scootaloo so much, and I wanted her to have an episode so bad that I made that 70-page book about her, and then to finally have it like finally answered in the show was great to see, and they hugged just like they did in the book, and I was like, yes, yeah, perfect. Oh, you did it, win. So that was what's her name, Corey
Powell.
That was
who
her
is
first
a
episode, right?
new writer for the show, has been confirmed to be writing the upcoming episode just for Sidekicks, which will be airing on January the 26th, I think. It was the missing episode 8. For anyone who noticed that the episode numbering system got off, we went 1 through 7. Then Apple Family Reunion was actually 9, and Spike at Your Service was 10. Now we're going to be having episode 11 on January 19th at the end of this little episode hiatus, and then finally we're skipping back to 8, which got skipped at some point, which will be that one. And as for 12 and 13, those haven't been announced yet, so we don't know the titles or writers for those.
Yeah. No, I love Sleepless in Ponyville. I thought I had nothing to complain about in that episode. Everything was just really good. Corey Powell did amazingly well for the first episode that she wrote, and yeah, she got a hard act to follow because like my expectations are high because I knocked it out of the park with that one. I mean, it had Scootaloo, it had Princess Luna. That's all you need to do to
two
appease me.
two characters in high demand.
If
Yes.
Trixie was there as well, then I would have been done. Like, you've done it. Completely satisfied. Because Rarity was in it. She's amazing.
The humor in that episode was pretty amazing. I love the Sweetie Belle pack mule
Oh my god.
that we saw there.
Am I sweating? I think I'm sweating. And then I think my favorite part of the whole episode though was Sweetie Belle singing 99 Buckets of Oats, and then she's just done, just falls
Yeah,
asleep
collapses.
immediately. Yeah, so I mean, I have nothing bad to say about that episode.
Yeah, me neither.
Who has anything
That-
bad to say about the episode? Really, it was flawless,
Mhm.
god tier.
So, really hope that Just for Sidekicks can compare to at least be sort of as good as that one was. Because if we get two, then that writer will definitely be getting a good reputation. They probably are going to keep a good reputation anyway now, just because everybody's going to think of the Scootaloo episode as soon as they think of her.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so next up was Wonderbolt's Academy.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Wonderbolt's Academy.
Yeah, well, I was very biased toward that one because Pegasi. I just like all the Pegasi. There's a reason that my name is Pegasus Rescue Brigade. I really prefer the Pegasi to the other two types of ponies.
It's all about magic, bro. If you don't have opposable thumbs, you better have magic.
I have opposable wings. That works good enough.
Bah, bah. Meh, meh.
You've seen like pick stuff up with wings. They do wing high fives and whatever else.
Yeah, I thought Wonderbolt's Academy was really good because it finally tempered Rainbow Dash a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because she'd always been shown to be very much a braggart, and then to show that, like, you know, finally addressed the Wonderbolt's dream directly, because it's been referenced how many times now, and she finally actually took an active step towards accomplishing it.
Yeah.
Was a great nod to continuity overall, because that's not something they really had to address, but they did. But also the result of the conflict showing that, you know, as much as that's her dream, she still, like, wouldn't let that trump, you know, just, you know, being nice to her friends. And it was good to see that she wasn't distracted from what was important by her dream, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lightning Dust was a great character because she was kind of showed what Rainbow Dash could be if she went too far.
Yeah, she's a good foil for her.
Yeah. So, what did you think?
Well, maybe this is just me not understanding, and there's a lot of people who were wondering about this, but what was up with the ending? Like, is she ready for the next stage now, or is she flat out gonna be a Wonderbolt now, or what? Like, the ending didn't really tell anything about what happened beyond she got made head pony for the remainder of her training there, but it's hard to tell exactly what's going on with her. It hasn't been mentioned since that episode.
And you know it's not going to, because, like, they don't usually mention stuff like that. So, like, it had to be talked about there, and they did do it. So you're just like, what? Like, this is, like, the most important aspect of this character?
Mm-hmm.
Help?
And it was good to see also on a another thing with continuity, the reappearance of several ponies from previous episodes, particularly from Hurricane Fluttershy.
Yeah.
We saw Cloud Chaser again. We saw the super buff pony again.
Snowflake.
Yeah, I guess Snowflake. He has so many names.
Snowflake. I like
Okay.
It's canon. I declare it to be so.
We saw actually, I don't know if you've seen anything about this, but that pink pony with the blonde mane that was one of the Wonderbolts in training was actually originally going to be Sibsy's OC Wildfire, but it was recolored. If you look carefully, it's the same model, but for whatever reason they had to remove that at some point, and that's been confirmed by the show staff.
Aww.
That was originally going to be Wildfire. There are a few relics of it in the episode, like even though the pony's cutie mark is like a sunflower or something, when they're doing the cloud destruction exercise, each of the pony's cutie marks is written at the top of the chalkboard, and instead of a sunflower, there is a flaming tire. Um, there's also one scene where lightning dust is almost completely obscuring the pony in the background, but you can see part of a tan leg and a dark brown tail. So it was one case where there was so little of her in the picture that the animators didn't see her and didn't manage to recolor her into that pink and yellow pony. So it's definitely clear that that was originally Wildfire, but it was for some reason that they cannot disclose was changed to some other pony.
Hmm.
But I thought that was cool anyway because we did see her in the season 2 finale. So I was hoping we'd see more of her, but she was there in spirit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
She's just in disguise.
That was cool. No, it was good. I mean, that was the one big thing, was not really bringing that point home because it was such a prevalent, like, plot point for the character. But I mean, as far as like just being an episode in of itself, I thought it was really solid. Pinkie Pie.
Pinkie Pie was interesting in that
Pinkie
episode.
Pie was I was gonna say interesting. I liked the megaphone thing she did in the beginning. That was fun. But I mean, it was obvious. Like, it was a funny enough like side story, but it was pretty obvious it was just there to get them in the balloon at the end. All right, so
Two more.
and then we are done.
Yeah. Typically, we're going to spend more time on the fiction analysis and talking to a guest than we are on episodes. We're just going through the whole season today because we don't have anything else to talk about in this first episode because we haven't gotten any questions or guests or whatever yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's wrap up these here. Apple Family Reunion was next.
Apple Family Reunion. I didn't like it very much, guys. I wasn't a big fan. There's another one because I did this huge big video on Applejack and why I thought she needs more character development, and they didn't do it. They didn't. They dropped the ball. They struggle so hard to write for Applejack. They really do, and it's a shame because she has so much potential. There's so much they could do with her, but it's like the character they've developed is like every way they could explore her is like almost out of the scope of the show. It's like everyone wants to talk about her parents, but you can't. It's a kid's show. Like,
although again, the show staff confirmed that the shooting stars were supposed to represent her parents in a tweet the next day.
But like they can't take a whole episode.
They can't go into that's the most detail we will ever see on that topic.
Or something, you know, like they're not gonna be able to touch on that.
I did like the song though. A lot of people said the song was meh. I thought it was really awesome.
Yeah, I didn't like it
Not
at
just
first.
because it was Applejack, but just because it was catchy.
Yeah, I listened to it a second time and I liked it. The first time I was just like, it's not bad. But it was okay. I mean, it wasn't amazing. And the fact of the matter is, I really want them to do something with Applejack. Either give her some sort of characterization, some goal that she wants to achieve. You know, like Rainbow Dash has Wonderbolts, Rarity wants to be a fashionista, but
Twilight's probably going somewhere, whether she wants to or not.
Yeah, and Applejack just does nothing, and that's the whole problem whenever she's in a lead role.
Pinkie doesn't really have a goal, but she's interesting enough that it doesn't really matter. She's a free spirit. She's just wherever.
And then Fluttershy never does anything either, but that's a topic for another time.
Fluttershy hasn't had her episode yet this season, so we won't say anything about her.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one, Spike at your service.
Spike at your service. Aha, here we go. Okay, so everyone I've talked to so far has hated this episode. Do you hate this episode?
I don't hate it. I think it was probably the weakest of season 3.
See?
But but there are episodes in the previous seasons that I like less. So.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who thought that it was the second best episode of the season.
What was your favorite of the season? Oh, Sleepless in Ponyville.
Sleepless in Ponyville. I liked that. I had very little to complain about that episode. I thought that it was really fun. Every character of the main cast had something to do, had a moment, which was great. Was Spike a little out of character? Yeah. But then again, he wasn't in the library. so he's kind of out of his element anyways, and he's been shown to be klutzy from here to there anyways. But the character direction was great. The Timberwolves and the 3D models were really cool. Uh,
Yeah, that was interesting to see them done up in CGI.
yeah, and then they had the Megazord at the end when they all combined.
Yeah, that
Like,
was neat.
so, and I thought that the fact that they focused on Applejack's empathy and not her, stubbornness or whatever that they usually focus on in all of her other appearances,
Hmm.
I felt that her role in that episode was stronger than an Apple Family Reunion.
Hmm.
I mean, she was a supporting character,
It's
so and that's where she
possibly
really
true.
works. But I don't know.
Um,
I haven't put
yeah,
my
and there
review up
were
for that
there
yet,
were
but
also a few good comedy moments and stuff. What else
yeah,
were you gonna say?
I said I haven't put my review up for that yet, but like
Oh.
I just like that was my second favorite episode of this season, to be totally honest.
Hmm.
So, I don't know. I don't know. I'm in the minority on this, but what are you gonna do?
No, there were a couple moments that were good. Pinky's plan. I see
Pinky's-
somebody talking about it in the chat there about the mustache.
Oh, weird. This
Uh,
mustache.
That was entertaining. The Rainbow Dash is apparently writing a fanfic, self-insert fanfic about herself.
Yep. Oh my god, that was so
the
great.
the pre-readers, everyone was laughing about that so much
God.
in the pre-reader chat because we get so much horrible fan fiction just like that into the queue all the time that it's just like it was so ironically brilliant, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like if Rainbow Dash submitted to Equestria Daily, we would reject her so hard.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, yeah, that was the thing I think that sold it for me. Like, it was just like even if the main conflict, which I didn't think was bad, but like again, Spike was kind of acting kind of weird. I guess one could argue. I think that there was every few minutes there was another good moment,
Hmm.
and everyone got a moment to do something. I mean, even Fluttershy, who never does anything, did a little something. So I had nothing
It
really
did.
to
I
complain about.
I liked the main six in the episode, but I can't really say I liked Spike, which is a shame because he was the center of attention.
Yeah,
But
I think I liked though is that he was acting like a child, which they're always saying, oh, he's a baby dragon, and then he finally acted like a kid,
Mhm.
like being like overly zealous and trying to prove that he was really thankful and stuff like that. Um, that's I felt that wasn't like him getting too out of character. I thought him being failing so bad at everything was kind of out of character. But then again, all we've ever
yeah,
seen him do is do stuff in the library.
yeah,
So
but apparently he's really bad at everything else besides library work. That seems a little of a stretch to me, but I don't know. It wasn't too bad. There were people who thought that was much more of a deal breaker than I did.
yeah,
Okay, I guess that's it for that.
yeah.
Anything else to say on the season so far?
Final comments on the season overall.
I don't know.
I think it's business as usual. There are ups, there are downs, but I
Mhm.
think the fact that Lauren might not be there anymore, I still think that everyone else who's involved in the staff is passionate about what they're doing, and the fact that the staff and the community are so tightly knit at this point, I think that we all kind of care for what they're doing over
Mhm.
there, and I don't think just because Faust isn't actively working on it anymore that the show is going to be um, doomed. And I think the fact that we have
Yeah,
episodes
I
like
never thought that either.
yeah, the fact that Sleepless in Ponyville and Magic Duel,
Mhm.
Wonderbolt's Academy are all really good episodes, and I think that all goes to show that I think the second half of the season is going to be fine. I'm not
Mhm.
worried at all.
Yep. So we have 9 episodes finished. Now we're on this little hiatus until January 19th, and then there are 4 more to air after that. We already have confirmed that one of them will be a Fluttershy episode and another character that I don't want to spoil for anybody who may not have seen it yet. And seen the information about it.
Yeah.
And the episode following that will be just for sidekicks, which is apparently about Spike and the pets or something. But all the main 6 is pets. He's a pet sitter, and that one is written by the writer from the Scootaloo episode.
Corey Powell.
And yeah, we don't know anything about episode 12 or 13 yet. We have been told that 13 was is going to be the finale is going to be a single part, just
Single
episode
part.
13,
Yeah.
and it was written by M.A. Larson, who is the writer of Magic Duel and a lot of episodes from the previous seasons.
Hmm.
Larson is my favorite writer in the show, so I'm pretty excited now to hear about that for the finale. So that just leaves episode 12, which we don't know anything about yet. But just going down the list here, we've seen 5 members of the main 6. We've seen the Crusaders as a whole. We've seen one of the Crusaders by themselves, and we've seen Spike. So I'm assuming the remaining main 6, which is Rarity, will almost certainly be getting episode 12.
So
Uh,
someone said something about there being like an episode with Rarity Octavia. I'm just like, what?
that was a rumor, that was something Kathy Westlook said
If that
at
happens,
Comic-Con.
forget
And
it.
that
I'm so
was
sorry.
it was worded in such a way that it is impossible to tell if it was just a funny conversation piece or actually a hint for an upcoming part of an episode.
Yeah, because that was a while ago. But
Mhm.
the funny thing was, like, with Magic Duel, like, last BronyCon, Lauren Faust blatantly talked about Magic Duel, and no one really realized it. You know,
Mhm.
because in her panel, she said, like, I like how the show's open, and that we can always we could always have Twilight fight Trixie in a Magic Duel, and everyone was like, oh, but didn't really
Mhm.
think anything of it, and then
Yeah.
6 months later it happened.
But
and
did Lauren Faust even know about that if she wasn't involved in season 3?
Well, they said that episode was written it was
Back
originally
as part
planned
of
for
season
season
2.
2.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I don't know how that works. But hey, as long as
We've
they
just had
give
viewers
Rarity an
trickling
episode.
in for this whole thing here. We're up to 34 people.
I know what's going on. Do people have anything better to do than listen to two nerds? God. I mean, thank you for coming to Golden Oaks Book Club's first episode. Oh God.
All right, so
34. It's true.
um, let's see. What else do we have to cover today? Anything besides Q&A?
Well, I think Q&A is all we got left for today,
All right.
sir.
So for later episodes, we'll have all the other stuff. We'll have interviews. We'll have Q&A from the Tumblr that we'll be able to go over. Weren't we going to do some kind of like, writing tips session? We give sort of, examinations of characterization in certain fics or whatever after we get the
Yeah.
author's permission and see if we can provide a little bit of guidance to some of the authors in the audience.
Yeah, so some of the future things we want to do with audience interaction is audience suggestions. So if you have fics or stories of any sort that you like, drop them in the Tumblr Ask box, and if we like them, we'll mention them on the show. We also wanted to do critiques, so if anybody out there writes fictions and they want a critique on it, like we can both read it, and if we think that we can provide some commentary on it, we can possibly put it on the show and kind of
but
discuss what's
not
working, what's
not
not
to
working.
not to a complete analysis sort of extent.
No, it'll be like
although
pretty
it
quick.
would be fairly basic, just
Yeah.
because
Just if
we have other stuff to get done too. I have to do plenty of reviews as it is for Equestria Daily on that. We need to be doing them here too, and
yeah, because like we said,
what else?
the show is supposed to be content spotlighting, which we touched a little bit on, and we're going to do a lot more going forward, but also to be a resource for the narrative community as a whole. So if there are people out there who aren't just enjoying fiction, but writing and creating fiction, then we want to be able to help out there as well, because we also create fiction, and we know that it is a time-consuming, heart-wrenching, very rewarding process. So, and then another thing we want to do is contests. I don't have any ideas
I
for
almost forgot
contests.
about the
though.
contest.
Yeah, we were going to do a contest, but I don't have an idea for a contest.
So we're
since-
just gonna skip one today, I
Yeah.
guess.
We will have a contest next episode. The prize will be, you will get a T-shirt shipped to you of ponies, because I am starting a website where I'll be selling T-shirts and have a bunch of different designs, and whoever wins a contest will get a T-shirt for free from me. So, yeah, that's what we plan on doing in the future, if you decide to come around for the next episode. But until then, I think the only thing we have left to do is Q&A sessions. So, PRB, if you want to gather some questions from the chat, check the Tumblr and see if anyone dropped anything there, and then
Okay.
we can get started answering
Yep.
horribly
So,
embarrassing questions.
yeah, go ahead, guys. Just drop questions into the chat there. I'll copy some of them over to a list, and we'll answer them one at a time. Doesn't have to be anything about. I mean, it can be any topic. It can be about the show. It can be about fan fiction. It can be about Brony Curious and I. Whatever you want.
Alright, so let's start at the top, I guess. What is your opinion on the possibility of Alicorn Twilight? You want to take that one first, bro?
Yeah, I guess I will look into that. There's been a lot of information on that circling around. And it's really hard to tell whether or not that Twilight is going to become an Alicorn in the finale. But yeah, I mean there have been rumors from EQD gets them all the time from various sources, but at the same time we see tweets from the show staff and stuff that seems to hint that it is not going to be the case. So it's really hard to tell what's actually going to happen. I know that I would probably prefer that it doesn't happen because I feel like the show might have difficulty taking that concept and running with it. The season 4 would probably feel pretty different if we had to deal with Twilight basically being a princess. But I don't know. It could be very different, and I don't know where the show would go with that yet. It could turn out. I don't know if I want to say the show. If the rumors are true that it is happening and it is being forced onto the show staff by the toy department, then we probably have a problem. But let's just cross our fingers and hope that they either make it work or, more preferably, don't have it happen.
Yeah, that would be a jump in the shark moment for me. I mean, unless they were really creative in how they pulled it off and made it work.
Can you guys still hear us? Somebody says the sound cut off again.
Oh no. Oh, okay, it's better. It's good. We're on it. Yeah. Okay.
Good? Okay.
But yeah, for me, I mean, again, they would have to like really think of something really creative to make it work. Because I just think, again, like you said, the tone of the show would change completely. Either that, or the opposite happens, and she just has wings for no apparent reason other than to sell toys, and that would probably be even worse, because that would just scream commercialism in my eyes and growl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not gonna if it happens, I'm not gonna stop watching the show, but it definitely.
It's gonna have a strong impact on season 4.
Yeah.
That much is apparent if that does in fact happen.
So I don't think it will. I'm not expecting it to, but if it did, I'd be very curious to see how they make it work, if they make it work.
All right, next question. Was there anything on the Tumblr?
The one Tumblr question we have is, whom derped the most, Derpy or Spike?
What?
I don't know. That's what I got from Anonymous.
I'm
gonna say Derpy. Derpy derped the most. Or maybe Spike derped the most, because at least when Derpy derps, she's in character.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that, Anon, did you? Yeah, I was also say Spike derped the most.
Okay. Back to the list. Second question we got was, what do you guys think of the lack of Rarity episodes in 2012 overall?
Horrible!
Have we not seen much Rarity in 2012? Where was the cutoff for 2012?
It was
in season 2. I guess if you're just
early.
counting as the whole year.
It was before BronyCon.
Yeah, I think we
It was what, April? April or early May, I think. Right?
what was?
The end of season 2.
I know, but I mean 2012 started in January of last year. Where like this person's talking about the whole year or something. Because if
Yeah.
they're just talking about season 3, then yeah, of course there's been no rarity episodes because it's a short enough season that there's really only going to be one for each character.
I
If
don't
episode
think
12
'cause-
is not about rarity, I'm going to be kind of disappointed, but uh, we'll have to see what happens with that. But Rarity had her episodes in season 2. They were just near the beginning.
Yeah, but that means that since from 2012, the entire year of 2012, there wasn't a single rarity episode, either because of the break or because there hasn't been anything in season 3 so far. So it's been a very rarity-less year, and that is horrible.
That's sad.
Then again, good things are better when they're a rarity. No, there needs to be more rarity. No, seriously. No, I'm really hoping that there is an episode because she's best pony, and
Okay.
Tabitha St. Germain just does amazing voice work, and every time she has an
Yeah,
episode,
she does, and she plays such a nice range of characters: Granny Smith, Luna, Rarity, the original version of Derpy, somebody else. I don't know. Lots of characters.
yeah, she's all over the place. Oh yeah, she was the Olin pony. All right, what was the next
Oh, was
question?
she? Okay.
Oh my god.
Where were we? I guess here. What are the max rating of a fic you will review? Oh, so like what? Whether it's everyone versus teen versus mature? We're
Yes. That's a good question.
well, because we both advertise this podcast in the roundups on Equestria Daily, and we'll probably be posting the YouTube videos in the roundups on Equestria Daily. We probably need to stick to Equestria Daily's content standards. So I would say everyone in teen is allowed, mature is not.
I would agree.
What's next? Have you seen Turnabout Storm? Yes.
No.
No. Okay. That answers that.
I don't know what it is.
It's that Phoenix Wright crossover with all the voice actors that's being animated and enacted. Like Rainbow Dash is accused of murdering some pony, and it's really convoluted and actually very interesting and very long. Each episode is like an hour, and there's
Crap.
four episodes of it so far, and one more to go.
Gonna have to add that to my to-do list.
Yeah, you might that might be a good thing to discuss on this show actually at some point in the future.
Mm-hmm. Not a bad idea, sir.
Okay. Next section. For me, how much derpy stuff do I have? And for you, how much rarity stuff do you have?
Okay. I actually have more derpy stuff than I have rarity stuff. It's blasphemous, I know. The thing is for me is, like, I think I only have 2 rarities. I have the 2011 McDonald's rarity, which I just pulled out of my pocket. And I have the blind bag. And that's it. Because, like, I want to get a plush commissioned of her at some point by someone, but I want to make sure it's, like, perfect. Because if it's anything
Yeah.
less than perfect, I'll get angry face.
Because
So,
they're expensive, so yeah.
yeah. Like, I have this little Trixie plush that I got commissioned by Folly Lolly, who's on DeviantArt, and her work's amazing. And I really like that one. But if I was going to get one of rarity, I would have to make sure it's just, like, flawless. Because,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, how much derpy stuff do I have? I have the Friendship Express DVD with the original unedited derpy on it, which I went out and bought immediately after derpy became censored because I knew it was going to be hard to find after that. I have a derpy baseball cap, a derpy t-shirt, several derpy pins that you can pin on a shirt or hat or whatever, a derpy poster. I thought I had some other stuff. What else? I don't know. Lots of derpy things. Most of it I got at BronyCon. Some of it from We Love Fine. And I don't have a plushie yet or anything. One day I'll have to get one of those.
I could probably hook you up with them. I know somebody who makes them, and they're pretty cheap.
Alrighty. Gonna keep going down the list. Have you guys seen Les Mis yet? No, I have not. Have you?
I have not. I wasn't planning on it, but
Me
I've
neither.
heard a lot of really good things about it, so I might. I just have no money to go to the theater because it's so expensive now. It's like you could buy like 5 comic books, or you can go see a movie once. It's like, choices. Speaking of comic books, MLP issue number 2 came out today. Anybody read it? Anybody get it? Anybody? It's comic book
Not yet.
Wednesday. Dude, I love this series so much. The first issue I was freaking out about because it was so good, and the second one does not disappoint. So if you guys have a comic book shop nearby, go pick them up. They're great.
All right, next question. Ooh, this is an interesting one. What started you both into starting to write? Well, strange wording aside, what got the both of us into writing? Do you want to start?
Yeah, man, I'll start. So I got into writing long before I became a brony, because before I got into the brony fandom, actually almost a year now, I was officially a brony January 14th of last year. But I did webcomics for a while before that. I don't think they're on the internet anymore, thank God, because they were terrible. But I've been writing comics for a long time, doing a lot of drawing. I just have always liked narrative fiction. I read a lot of books, read a lot of comics, watched a lot of anime, a lot of Western cartoons. Storytelling is just kind of my thing. So the thing that got me started writing for ponies was it's a freaking addiction. So it started with drawing for me because I was working on concept art for my original comic book, the new one that I'm planning on starting now. I don't know because I'm so entrapped in ponies. But I was working on that, and I started watching Pony, and I just kept finding myself doing really bad drawings of Rainbow Dash because I had no idea how to draw ponies at the time. And it got to the point where I couldn't stop, so I eventually just kind of succumbed to the illness, and that was by the time that I was finishing up watching season 2, or getting caught up with season 2, because season 2 was still airing in January. And I realized that Scootaloo never had an episode, and that's what inspired writing Sisterhood of Slighted, which was a 70-page book designed to give Scootaloo an episode, or feel like an episode. And about 2 weeks after that, I randomly got inspired with the idea for Recovery, which is my huge Trixie comic book that's going to take the next 2 years of my life to finish. So as soon as I finished Sister Hooves, I started on that, and it just keeps going. And I just enjoy writing stories, so. Yeah.
So, what about me? I started writing fiction in general in 3rd grade. I was 9 years old. I'm now 21. So it's been a good, 12, almost 13 years that I've just been writing random fictional stories for pleasure. Only recently have I started putting anything online, but yeah, I used to write for a few other fandoms now and then under different usernames. Nothing ever really got all that popular up until shipping and handling here. I still don't know how that happened, but
Because it was good.
that story just kind of fell out of my head one day, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this works." Threw it onto paper, and yeah, it's a mystery where all that came from. But yeah, writing's always been my thing, and I had a few different teachers and stuff that helped me get good at it. I went to a private school in elementary and middle school, and especially in 8th grade, we had the grammar teacher from hell. So that was a horrible year, but as a result, I have pretty solid grammar skills. And then, taking honors English and stuff throughout high school just got me up to speed on literary devices and characterization and everything. and then I noticed as high school went on and I got into college that my writing was improving. I was finally starting to write stuff that was actually presentable compared to the piles and piles of really meaningless, horrible stories that I have from my childhood laying around on sheets of paper that I wrote them on, complete with really terrible illustrations. But that's a story for another time. um, so yeah, here we are now. Been in the pony fandom for a year and a half, and have 3 fics out so far, and I've got plenty more lined up to go. My next novel, I'll be starting the writing on it tomorrow. Actually, I'll hope to have the first chapter out to FimFiction and shortly afterward to Equestria Daily in the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for that one. And of course, Shipping and Handling sequel will be coming in March, but everybody should already know that if they read the first one.
If you haven't, you need to go read it. It's so good.
All right, where's the next question? Somebody says, I have compared this show to my favorites when I was a kid, such as Thomas and Friends. Which show do you compare this show to? I don't know. I don't know if I can make a comparison to something. I know that cartoons in general, in my opinion, have been declining steadily since we were kids. But I don't know if you share the same opinion.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've always compared the show to kind of like the golden age of cartoons in the late 90s and early 2000s, kind of fused with classic golden age of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt that it was an interesting blend of both of those. It definitely has like the humor and the writing and the wit of like Cartoon Fridays a lot of the time, but also has like really good quality animation and like good musical numbers that you'd get out of like a Disney cartoon. So it's always kind of felt like a blending of those two to me.
Yeah. I don't really have a specific answer for this question, sorry, but
No, I don't either. It's very, very general. I mean,
right.
it definitely stands on its own, you know?
Mm-hmm. Here's somebody asking about the critiques. Just ask us about that on the Tumblr. We won't cover that here. Who's next? A lot of this is just questions. How many suggestions would you be allowed to submit to the Tumblr in terms of amount of fanfic suggestions? Do we have a limit for that? I don't know if we're necessarily going to go through everything.
Yeah, I mean, basically...
And probably not as thoroughly if you give us a ton of them, because we have lives too.
There's no limit, but the more you... If you start getting excessive, it's going to be harder for us to look through all of them. Whereas if someone just says, I have one really good one, I'll probably jump on that quicker just because it's... I don't have to dig through a list, just one. So I'd probably say if you stay around 3, but you can go more if you have more. Just know that the more you suggest, the longer it's going to take us to get through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Skipping down. What do you think will happen to Spike's character? Will he remain normal or become childish? I think that might have been a one-time thing with that episode. I'm not sure if we're going to see him being quite so klutzy around. He seems to be pretty good at what he does for Twilight. And again, sometimes the different show writers will depict characters in different ways. So...
Yep, that's what happens when you have multiple writers. They interpret characters differently. So, But I think everything will probably be back to normal going forward, just because he won't be the central focus. So they'll write him as a supporting role like they usually do.
Okay, looking. I don't see any more questions. So unless anybody has some final thing to say now, then I think we're about done with that section.
Yeah, if we're done with that section, it means we're pretty much done with the show for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We actually broke an hour.
Yeah, I've been here for an hour and 20.
I was not expecting that.
I was expecting maybe 45 minutes at the maximum end.
We can talk for a long time about nothing. Is that good or bad?
That's the mark of someone who writes a lot. Take it from me.
I guess so.
I tend to ramble.
I do have verbal diarrhea from time to time. Oh wait, we have another question. Why ponies instead of another fandom? Because other fandoms aren't crack cocaine that make you see colorful beautifulness. I really don't know. I ask myself that a lot. You know, like why? I don't know.
I don't know, because partially because there's not much else good on TV nowadays, in my opinion, and partially because I like how unified the fandom is.
I definitely, yeah, the community is definitely really strong.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's partially due to, we know that there's a place to get everything spotlighted in general through Equestria Daily. It helps make sure that people find out about the bigger pieces of content, not just in our storytelling part of the fandom, but throughout all the categories. I can't think of any other fandoms that have a site that really stands out as this is the flagship fandom site. There are plenty of important sites for MLP, but I don't think anybody's going to argue that Equestria Daily is the primary source of advertising all the content.
yeah, I mean that's a really important aspect. So I think that's definitely helpful. I just think the community is really tight knit, really friendly. Um, I've met a lot of great people through the community in the year that I've been here, and I think the show is just like really positive, really upbeat. I think for a lot of people, like myself included, it's nice to have that balance when like the rest of the world can be very cynical. So I think that definitely that's kind of what gets you in initially, and then just meeting all these great people is what makes you stay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably a good way to end the show on a positive note like that. Yes. Would
Yeah,
you
I
agree?
guess so.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I should probably get going too. We've been here for kind of a while.
we've been blah blah.
Later episodes might be even longer if we end up talking like this and we add in interviews and stuff.
I think if we interview somebody, we could probably go for a while. That could be scary. Only time will tell. So
Yep.
thank you everyone for coming for the first episode of Good Notes Book Club. Oh, I don't want us to go.
Are we going to have a are we going to announce now when our next episode will be?
I don't know, man. Are we?
Should we? I mean, I'm still on break from college for several more weeks yet. So you want to go for 2 weeks from now or next week or what?
I'm down for whatever. I'll do next week if you want to do next week.
We could probably get away with next week, at least for now. I think we shouldn't assume that that's going to be a regular schedule or anything because
Yeah, because you have to go back to school.
when I go back to school, we'll have to split it up to be bi-weekly. But I think right now let's go ahead and say same time, same place, Wednesday at 8 p.m. next week.
All right, awesome. So we will see you all next Wednesday. If some of you came into the show late, we will be posting this on YouTube. So if you want to watch it there and listen to us blah blah again, you can totally do that.
And thanks for watching. We, you can always send questions and recommendations for Fix to be examined to the Tumblr, and you can talk to Brony Curious and I on DeviantArt or me on FimFiction. I don't know if you really use your FimFiction.
I wrote a fan fiction for the first chapter of one, and I actually plan on finishing chapter 2 this week.
Oh yeah, I had the privilege to look at that story. That was pretty good.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so after like 2 months of working on other things, since there's no new episode this week, instead of doing a video for YouTube, I'm going to try and finish chapter 2 since it's been 50% done for 2.5 months now. So.
Now, what do you want to do? One more episode next week where we will kind of do these same sections except without the episode reviews, and or do you want to try to see if we can grab a guest for next week?
I say let's try, but let's not hold ourselves to it because we still gotta talk to some people, see if we can get somebody in. But we'll try and get a guest in here next week. But
okay,
we'll definitely have one for number 3. But for number 2, we will try, but no promises because.
Yeah.
You never know. Alright, so for anyone who is still here wants it, here are the show notes. This is the links to the two content spotlights that we were talking about, Ask Twilight and Trixie and The Worst Bakers in Equestria. So that is all for this week. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next week at 8.
Mm-hmm.